In this video I will show you how to draw this night landscape with a deer step by step. Before we start, you can get all tutorial files in the video description for free. And you can also access my exclusive tutorials and brush sets on my Patreon, which you can check out by the link in the video description below. Now let's grab our pencils and get started. Let's start with importing the sticker frame file that's included in the tutorial bundle with the free brushes. It's a canvas with the dimensions of 2000 by 2500 pixels and 3 shapes in it, that we will use in the end of the video. Together they make a sticker-like shape, and I show how to make it in a few of my previous tutorials, so I decided to skip that part and make the video straight to the point. Let's make those shapes invisible for now, and first create the drawing. We will need a new empty layer, so let's create it above all layers. After that we can just fill the layer with this dark blue color, that'll work as a background. I will pretend those hidden layers don't exist and just draw as if this one is the first background layer. And next I want to draw a snowdrift, where we will place a deer later. Let me now create another layer for it. Select snow color number 1. And I will pick water pen brush from calligraphy set. Actually today we will try out a few more default Procreate brushes for shading and adding textures. But first we need to create the shape. I will make it as a curve that goes from left to right, like this, with the brush set to full size and opacity. We can try to make it symmetrical, but not 100%. We will just need this textured edge. It would be faster to fill the area under it, but I prefer drawing. So I will just make strokes by pressing on the pencil to cover bigger areas. Alright, now that we have the shape we can shade it. And there are a few ways to keep the texture inside. We can either create a new layer and clip it, or simply alpha lock the current one. Let me do it. After that I will go to the color palette and select snow color number 2. Go to selection and pick rectangle together with color fill. I will outline a rectangle at the lower part, like this. Once it is filled, I will deselect and change the color to another one, that is snow number 3. Go back to selection and outline another rectangle at the lower part of the canvas. Now that we have these 3 colors, we need to blend them, and there are also a few ways to do that. I will start with Gaussian blur. It can be found in adjustments, so I will just select it from the list and slide to the right until all these colors are blended. I think it can be set to around 30 or 28%. And after that I want to add the texture. So let me click on this finger, which is smudge tool. I will open brush library and go to charcoals. From here I will select a brush called Burn Tree. Let's set the size to around 20% and start making strokes inside the shape. Very carefully. I will start with a light color and stretch it down by making strokes back and forth. Now let's continue working and go down even more to reveal the texture on dark areas as well. So by changing the direction, we have more control over the colors. We can make them darker or lighter, and we can also make strokes horizontally until we like how it looks. Alright, I think it is fine now. So the snowdrift is almost ready. So this is a way to get textured blending. You can simply use a textured brush with a smudge tool. I think this is how a snowdrift would look in the daytime. But since we are drawing the night, we need to make it a little darker. To do that I will create a layer above the current one and clip it. I think we can change the blending mode right away. I want to use color burn. And you will see why. Let's first select snow shading color. Go to airbrushing and pick soft brush. This brush doesn't have any texture, it is just soft. But when we apply it with this blending mode, we will still see the texture. I will set the size to around 16% and start drawing carefully on the sides and more at the lower edge. to make it even darker, because it is hidden from the light. Let me darken it even more here, and I will also apply it on top to make the entire shape darker, like this. After we did that, we can totally merge these two layers, and in the next step I will show you a very easy way to draw northern lights. So we need to create a new layer. It can be under the snowdrift. I will select Aurora color and a brush that may seem unexpected. It can be found in Procreate abstract set, and it is called Stickman. What I like about this brush is that it changes the color. This is what I want to see in my northern lights. I will just set the size to around 15 or 14% and draw an arc like this. We can make it a little wider on the sides, but not too wide. Alright, now I will be using one of the adjustments tools. Let's open it and pick Motion Blur. I will slide vertically. Actually, we can change the angle, but in this particular drawing I want to keep it vertical, and the amount can be set to around 60%. We will get a shape like this. Also, we can try out different blending modes to make it look different. For example, in some other version we could use Color Dodge, but here I'd like to use Add. So it is just shiny, and it is light. It is not ready yet. We will need to make some final touches. What I want to do is smudge the edges, and for that I will be using this finger. Set to Soft Brush. This time we can select it from recent brushes, because we already used it. I will start with a small brush size and set it to 3 or 4%. I will first make strokes this way, with an angle, and also make it curvy. We can try to make strokes back and forth at some distance from each other. I will continue on this side, and actually we can try to use Symmetry. I will go to Canvas, enable Drawing Guide, and set it to Symmetry in Edit Drawing Guide section. Let's keep it in vertical. So now if we make strokes on one side, it will be reflected to the opposite one. I think it will be faster this way. So I'm making strokes like this. They will be vertical in the center. Then I will also stretch it down at the lower edge. Make strokes going up and down on the edges. After that, make the size bigger and blend the colors with the sky. Let's work on the lower edge a little more. I will now remove Drawing Assist, so it doesn't look 100% symmetrical. I will just make a few unique strokes on each side. Alright, now I think it looks better. I will also remove this grid and continue working with the colors. But before that I will add the trees. To do that, let's create a new layer above the current one and select Tree Color. I'm going to use a stem from my Christmas pack. This type of tree fits the style. Let's just set the size to around 38% and tap a few times on the left side to place the trees next to each other. After that I will make the size bigger and tap on the opposite side. We can try to duplicate the layer to make the color more opaque, because the trees were textured. After that, merge these two layers and create another one. Also change the color to deer color. Now we will create another layer of trees. This way we will have more control over the size and location. I will make the size slightly smaller and tap at the lower part. Then on the right side as well. This way we will show that the trees are highlighted from the front and they're in shadow from this side. I think we can tap a few more times. Alright, let's also merge these two layers and go to the layer with the background. Create another one above it. We can start shading the background using these colors at the bottom. Let me start with background shading number 1 and select soft brush. To see the results straight away, I will go and change the layers mode to hard light. Now I will start applying colors carefully, drawing this way right above the snowdrift. Let's skip second color and go directly to background shading color number 3. We can also lower the opacity for better blending of the colors. I will start applying it here and going up. Then select second color and go upper. On top of the canvas I will apply background shading number 4. Also try to blend them. Let's keep it like this for now, and we can always go back to it later, after we draw the moon. But before drawing the moon, we can draw the deer, also using the stamp. For that I will create a layer right below the snowdrift and grab deer color. Let's go to the brush set and select deer stamp. Actually it could be any animal, I just wanted to place the moon in his horns, so I picked the deer. Let's set the size to around 27% and tap on the canvas. We can scale it and move. We need to place it this way, so the moon will be exactly in the center of the drawing. So the deer will go a little to the left, and his legs may drown a little in the snow. Alright, now we can shade it. For that I will create a layer above this one, and then clip it, so the texture will stay inside the shape. Also I will go and change the layers mode to lighten. Later I will show you the difference. Now let's select deer shading number 1. And today I'd like to try one of Materials brushes. It is called Sawtooth. It actually has a very cool texture. Let's set the size to around 10% or a little lower and start making strokes, roughly. For example, I will draw here on the back, also on this side of the neck, and this way. Go a little down, and like this. After that I will pick a razor and set it to the same brush. Now I will hide some parts that I want to be dark. For example, I will start making strokes carefully to this side. Also this part, to keep it in darkness. Now let me switch back to brush, make the size smaller, and continue adding highlights. For example, on this leg, here, on this small part, and this one will be highlighted the most. Let me make a stroke here on the snout, and then erase this part. After that we can switch to the second color for the shading, and with a small size, work more on the edges. For example, I'd like to highlight this part of the neck, so I will make strokes going down. Also on this side, because we have light coming from northern lights, and it is reflected on the deer's body. We can highlight this leg a little more, this one at the lower part, just working more on the edges, and on this one. To be more accurate, you can lower the size even more. Now I will work on the ear shapes and highlight them at the lower side, like this. Now let's compare how it would look if it was in normal mode. It would just cover the entire deer. So I will go back to lighten. Let me tap a few more times with the razor to make these edges more rough. I think I will make a stroke here. Alright, in the end we need to highlight the horns. So I'm selecting the brush with a very low size, and I will make strokes on each small part of the horns, on one side. Also erasing unnecessary parts. This entire part will be highlighted, then this small shape, and it will go to the side. Let's highlight this one and go to the second horn. Just make a few strokes. Here comes the last one. Let me just make this part a little more highlighted. And that's it. We can merge these two layers and create a layer above for the moon. I will select white color for it and a stamp from my space set. The size is set to 19% and I will just tap. Then place it inside the horns, so it matches. After that I will change the layers mode to overlay and duplicate it. I think we can select these two layers and place them under the deer. Will be better. After that I will create another layer below the moon, continue using white color and select monoline from calligraphy. Let's set the size to 15% and draw a circle around the moon, right on the edge. I will tap to make it perfect and adjust the shape and location, like this. After that I will apply Gaussian blur on it at around 6% and also set it to overlay mode. This way we will separate it from the sky. Now we can add the stars, also with white color. So I will create another layer that will be located above the northern lights, but under the trees. I will be using stars brush. Start making strokes around the moon. Since it is transparent, if some of the stars go inside the shape, we will need to use a razor to remove them. I will first apply small stars, then make the size bigger and make more strokes, also around the moon. Let me select soft brush as an eraser and erase the stars that accidentally went inside the moon. Alright. Now let's make the stars shine. We can do it easily if we duplicate the layer. Go to the first one and apply Gaussian blur on it. We can zoom to see it better. And I will set the amount of Gaussian blur to 4%. After that we can set the lace mode to add. Now they are shining. In the end, I'd like to add the shadow that the deer drops on the snow from the light. So let's go to this layer with the snow, create another one above it, and clip. Instead of copying the deer and flipping it, we will just draw the shadow quickly. And we can select one of dark blue colors. Let it be this one that we used for snow shading. We just need to select a painting brush. I think it can even be soft brush. Let's select it, make the size low, around 2%, and just draw 2 lines, like this. Then 2 more. I will grab a razor, set it to the same brush, and erase it, just a little bit. We can't see what is in shadow, only in the light part. Now that it is ready, I will add the texture. And for that I will create a new layer above all layers and select paper color. Let's go to the brush set and pick craft paper brush. This brush is from my paper pack that is available on Patreon. I will select it, set it to full size and opacity, and just paint all over the canvas to cover it all with the texture. Now let's go to the layer and change its blending mode to color dodge. To create magical illustrations and add some glow, I normally use add and color dodge modes. Now we can see the texture everywhere. If you want to emphasize it, you can just duplicate the layer. I will keep it as it is. Finally, we can merge all the layers, starting with a dark blue background. Let's bring back all these shapes and clip the drawing to this oval. After that we can scale it in uniform mode. Just make sure the borders are not seen. I will also center the moon. Just move it a little to the left. Now it is in the center, while transforming the drawing may lose quality a little. And we can fix it easily if we go to adjustments and apply sharpen. I will slide to the right. And now it looks much better. And the drawing is totally ready. If you enjoyed this tutorial, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. You can also access more exclusive tutorials and brush sets on my Patreon. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video.